These are my aquariums here on North Plain Road in the room I stay in. This is tank 1, which is goldfish. My goldfish. This is tank 1 is goldfish, and tank 2 are the minnows. Both these tanks are 55-gallon tanks, and they're set up on platforms, wooden platforms that I built. The platform I built myself out of just some old scrap wood lying around. And it's supported by, I don't know if you can see it, it's hard to, no, I can't. Well, supported by 3 stacks of 3 industrial milk crates I got from behind Kmart. Both of these are wooden platforms, they're perfectly level. And this up here is my air pump platform. It's a suspended air pump platform that I built, just a piece of wood braced that hangs like freely against the wall, but it hangs by 3 independent cables or strings, and it's perfectly level. This is my this is a PetSmart air pump I got, and it goes to tank 1, and this is a Petco air pump, and it goes to tank 2. It's a 4-stager. There are 4 airlines, 4 distinct airlines that run from this pump that's suspended above the tank, and there are 4 different aeration points in my tank. And on tank 1 you can see that I have 2 air stones. Each air stone goes to a port on the air pump. One port equals 1 aeration stone. These are my 2 air stones on the far end of this tank. In the center I have a bubbler bar. It's like a long air stone, but it has a better air. It has a longer aeration effect than a conventional, more focused air stone. Then I have a 4th air stone in this tank here. When I set up this aquarium, I had to basically, route all the plumbing, the air lines first. Then I very carefully covered it with sand, and then I put the rocks on. The sand actually cushions the weight so the air lines do not get crushed. This is an interesting tank here. It's got 2 fluorescent lights, and it's a 55-gallon tank, and I've got real plants here actually. I didn't go and spend a lot of money or any money on that fake stuff you see at Petco. There's none of that bright fluorescent pink or green or blue artificial pea gravel. This is real sand that I got. And this is real gravel from the Nutrition Center parking lot. And these are real rocks from North Plain Road. And these are real North Plain plants, or leaves. And it's also fine quality North Plain farmed water, which the fish seem to really like. You'll notice that with my decorations that they actually sway and move with the water, which gives the fish a sense of life, like they're living in a real lake. And I did everything I could to create a sense of balance in my tank. I've got the plants here and plants here, and more space to swim in the center. And I want to also briefly talk about the filter. The filter is actually raised up a little bit higher and not, hanging on the tank. The filter is raised up higher so I can attain a waterfall, and that waterfall effect creates bubbling action in addition to the air stones. One of the things I'd like to talk about is tank aeration and how it works. A lot of people are under this conception that the bubbles are really the air going into the water, and that the more bubbles, if there's a lot of bubbles, a lot of air. That's not what's really happening. The aerations, the air pumps, are actually just a device used to create disturbance or rupture of the surface tension of the water. Now I'm going to focus and we're going to look at the top of the aquarium. You can see that what happens when the bubbles hit the top, the bubbles break. They literally break, and it causes a rippling effect. So the air pump is an artificial, it's like a waterfall in reverse when you don't have a big fish pond. The bubbles up here will actually break, and when the bubbles break, the surface tension of the water, the oxygen in this room that's above it, is forced into the water. So the bubbling action causes basically it's ripping and tearing the molecular surface tension of the water, and that's what introduces the oxygen from the room. So, you know, when I have these feeder ports open, more air gets in than if they're closed. And yes, these are my wonderful goldfish. This goldfish, I haven't named them all yet, but this guy's Lou. He's the biggest. He loves the waterfall. He just swims up and down it as often as he can. And, you know, these fish were actually resting. They have a cycle system, and I just turned it on to make this video, so I kind of woke them up suddenly. Now, this is my central service port right now. And it's where I basically keep, it's how everything works off this main plug. And it's a timer, so I have 6 hours of activity, 6 hours of ref, 6 hours of aeration and filtration, 6 hours on, 6 hours off. Fish could survive about 10 or 11 hours if I had nothing turned on in the tank at all. They'd run out of air, but I keep it 6 and 6. 6 on, 6 off, 6 on, 6 off. So they have a sense of day and night. These are my, and everything runs off this filter, this timer here. It's a rotary timer. And I have a power strip, and I have everything precisely labeled. So I have the two lights, the lights labeled, the filter pump, and the air pump. And the same thing with tank 2. And it all runs off this main power source. The whole system actually uses less than 120 watts, so I can take a voltage inverter and plug it into my truck if the power ever goes out. My goldfish and my minnows will never run out of air. Tank 2 is dedicated to the minnows, just minnows. And this is a little different. I have artificial plants in here because I had a harder time keeping this tank clean in the beginning, so eventually I'm going to put some live plants in here. These are some rocks, and notice the focus of my tank. I have heavy foliage on the right side, heavy foliage on the left side. I have a lot of space around the intake port of my filter pump, and it's kind of like a sense of vacuum in the center, or a lot of space. The reason I do this is it mimics the action of a stream or a pond. On a pond you have a lot of vegetation on the shoals or the sandy areas, and then in the center it's kind of, you know, the depths of a pond or a river is just rocks, gravel, and there's a lot of space to swim, but on the sides you have the plants. You have the plant on shore 1 and shore 2, so I've created an ocean effect in a sense, and I'm trying to simulate that with my aquarium. Same thing, platform, filter pump. And the same principle applies. The filter pump is higher than the level of the tank to create a waterfall effect to break the surface tension of the water. And I have also 4 air stones in this tank, the same principles I discussed in tank 1. The lighting is different in this aquarium here because I have just the conventional orange colored wall and the office I'm staying in on North Plain Road, and this has a blue map of the world behind it. So obviously this tank's going to be blue, and this one's going to have a more greenish, yellowish hue to it. Nonetheless, I try to balance aesthetic beauty. I create a sense of symmetry and balance between my aquariums. Tomorrow I'm going to have an aqua bridge that will connect the 2 tanks. When it's finished, it will actually be a waterway, a bridge that will allow the fish to swim back and forth. This is where I stay here. This is the room. This is my projector screen for my projector. This is my fold-out couch where I can sleep on a couch or make it into a bed. And this is the desk that I use where I have my projector and my computers, and I can watch my wonderful family of minnows and goldfish. Thank you for watching.